You know, it's funny. Today, it seems like car companies are competing with each other to see who can make the most lifestyle-y car. I mean, Jeep built an entire business on that, right? But I think today, we might be able to conclusively say we have a winner. I mean, does it get any more lifestyle-y than this? So here we are with the Bronco Sport Heritage Limited. A bit odd that we got this one as a loaner vehicle just because it is no longer sold, unfortunately. There are two very, very similar models, but this is the top of the line, as good as it gets version of this car. It comes with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, and it has this appearance package, I guess you could call it. Supposed to be like reminiscent of the old Broncos. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm kind of liking it. I think it's fun with the yellow paint as well. With that appearance package, you're going to get this white grille up here. You also get the orange Bronco logo. And then over here, you're going to get these white wheels with an all-terrain tire package. You get this really cool badging, although I'm not entirely sure that this is on the new models. You get the white roof, and then I'll come around the back. You can tow with this. It does come with a tow hitch. It is rated for 2,000 pounds, and it looks like it's wired for it as well. So if you want to do some towing, you can do that. I actually think the 2-liter is rated for 2,200 pounds, so just a bit more. I really dig this. I think it's really cool. I don't know that I would own it personally, but I commend the person that drives this around on a daily basis. It does turn a lot of heads. Design-wise, I've always been a real fan of the baby Broncos. I think they really fit into a great spot in the market. They have a lot of the off-road chops that you kind of actually need. And for the people that are, serious off-roaders, they're never going to consider this car anyway. So I think for the person who is considering off-roading, this is probably a pretty good option for them. It's actually quite capable. The Heritage trim does come with some bash plates on the bottom, so you can ding this thing up and run it around the trails. I didn't want to test my luck today. I am out here on my own, so didn't want to take it too deep into the snow. Almost got stuck once. And then I, called it quits. But yeah, I think the design is great. It's a very boxy shape, which is super in right now. And you get the floating roof design, which is really cool as well. For 2024, you can get a Heritage trim. Those start in the low 30s, I believe like 34,000 for a base Heritage trim. But the bummer there is that you are limited to the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder. If you want the 4-cylinder, actually the only way you can do it is go all the way up to the Badlands version, which is the very highest trim, and it starts around 38, I believe. This one, like I may have mentioned, starts at about $44,000, which is a lot of money to spend on a kind of a small little crossover. I would argue that this one is a bit more capable, but still, that's a lot. That's a lot to spend. But let's just go over here and check out the trunk space. I think that this is one of the most clever things they did back here. By the way, you can open this back glass, which is great. If you have a dog, they'd probably love that. This is an option here. It's the cargo management system, but I think this is super, super clever. So you can use it as a divider, like it was being used there a second ago. You can use it as a tray, so you can kind of load things on top of a lower level. You can fold it down as sort of a privacy cover and, again, more storage. Or, kind of a little trick up its sleeve, is you can move it all up here. These sort of lock into place right there and right there, although it's not super obvious where they lock. And then there are these feet, if I can open them. Maybe, they come down and rest on the bumper, and then you can use this while you're camping or, making food, whatever, put a stovetop on there. Really, really clever design. This is a $150 option. I think that makes total sense to do that. And then, like I was using it before as a cargo management, also love this little ruler. As the cargo management system, oh, I gotta unlock it here. You can also then slot it into a couple of different slots. So that's one right there, and then there's another one behind that one as well. Everything's rubberized in here, and under this this little cubby here, there is a full-size spare. So great to know that, you know, if you're out here, you can actually, you know, use the spare if you need it. There is a bottle opener right there. In here we have a 110 volt, 400 watt max. Not a ton of power output there, but nice to have. 12 volt, couple bag holders. And yeah, I think this is a pretty usable space. It's very wide and very tall. The boxy shape is certainly helping it out here. But why don't we go ahead and step inside, and we'll take a little bit longer look at the interior. So stepping inside, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior. Now, this interior is very utility focused. Even though this is the top of the line, it doesn't necessarily scream quality. At the same time, I feel like they've spent the money in the right places, and I kind of enjoy it. You know, like they're not using a ton of plastics up here. They've got this like fabric where they easily could have used scratchy plastic. They have kind of filled that in with this nicer feeling material. Probably not super expensive, but definitely looks the part. This is the Heritage trim, so it does have this leather heated steering wheel. Unfortunately, the new version of it does not get the heated steering wheel unless you go, I believe, all the way up to the top of the line trim. This one's leather wrapped, which is nice, but not exactly the nicest quality leather. Over here, you got some light controls. Window switches all feel like typical Ford. Turn signals, classic Ford as well. I find that the buttons on the steering wheel are a bit cheap feeling and looking. They're also not super intuitive, like the volume up and down is here. I feel like that would have made more sense to have on one of these sliders, but minor gripe. As we move over to the center of the console here, the cubbies that they've created here are super, super well thought out. You know, a place to put your phone or some knickknacks. Down here, there is a wireless charger. That is part of a technology package or a convenience package on the 2024s, but nice to see it down there, kind of out of the way, also out of the sun, because those can overheat really easily. Working our way down, we've got climate controls here. This is a bit clustered in my opinion, but gets the job done, and they're all physical buttons, which is nice. Heated steering wheel, heated seats. I love that these, some cars don't have this where it's auto, but you can also adjust the fan speed. So if you want it to, you know, blow harder and maintain 70 degrees, you can do that. Up here with the infotainment, it does the job, but it's not anything special. It also isn't the highest quality screen. It's probably hard to tell on video, but the contrast at an angle is not that awesome. It just doesn't strike me as a very high quality screen, I guess. Climate vents here. I love this design where you close them off using this little knob in the middle. They move very nicely. Down here we do have our kind of all of our drive modes, and all of it is kind of centered around this GOAT mode, goes over all terrain selector. I like how this is integrated and how everything is right here. It's not, you know, moved between different parts of the cabin. It's all located right here. Drive selector is a knob. I don't know that I have a huge opinion on this. I will say that having to do some 3-point turns, you have to really look down and see kind of what light has lit up, because there, you know, you can freely spin this thing. It's not like it locks into place. It just freely spins. So it can kind of be hard to tell how many clicks it actually went. So you do get hill descent control or terrain control, they call it here. Traction off, locking rear diff, which is great to see at this price point, and 4-wheel drive lock. And then you get 7 different terrain modes, basically: normal, eco, sport, slippery, mud ruts, sand, and rock crawl. Some other versions of the vehicle won't get all of those. I believe they get 5, but I'm sure that's plenty to get you around. Nice little cubby in here, 2 USB-C ports, Heritage badge right here, cubby glove box, nice and deep. You can fit quite a bit in there. And then on the doors, there is this kind of cubby here. The one thing I will say is larger water bottles, this one's not even that big, they don't fit. So kind of a loss there. So going a little bit more over the infotainment, I find that it responds pretty quickly and it's pretty good for, light taps. But one thing I found is a bit annoying is if I go into, say, like driver assistance here and I scroll, it feels like it has a really hard time judging how hard you're scrolling. And then sometimes you scroll and you accidentally, tap on things. The UI isn't the easiest to use in that way. It's laid out well, but it's just, again, this is one of those cars where you're going to plug in CarPlay and you're never going to look back. So, and CarPlay is wired in this, is not wireless, unfortunately, but I found that it works quite well in this car and no complaints there. Last thing I'll mention with the infotainment is the sound system. This one, as you can see up here, is rocking the Bang & Olufsen sound system. I have not been very impressed with the sound system personally. If you're paying extra for this, if it comes on a package or it comes on the trim you're looking at, then awesome, great. I'm sure it sounds better than the base, but it's not something to upgrade for. It also rattles the doors like crazy, and that actually brings me to another point. This car rattles quite a bit, and for a press car, I'm surprised that they haven't kind of worked that out. But the main issue I have is bass in songs will just rattle both the front door speakers. Like it's not nothing. Let's go ahead and step into the back seat. And, or actually, you know what? Let me talk about visibility real quick. The visibility in this car is pretty good, shockingly so. This is one of those cars that also feels bigger than it is. Sometimes you get in cars and they feel smaller than they actually are. This one feels larger, and I attribute that to these hood bulges. But visibility over my right shoulder is decent. This B-pillar, or I guess it'd be the C-pillar here, is not awesome. It's, angled for style on the outside, but it kind of intrudes on that. You do get blind spot monitoring, which is good. And then over the left, you do get a good view out the rear windows. Sunroof on this Heritage Limited, very big, and it has a power sliding cover, which is good to see. Sunglass holder up here. They don't do that as much anymore. And your garage door opening buttons on the visor. Seat quality in here is only fine. I'll go ahead and step out so you can take a closer look at them. They're these plaid leather seats, which I think look really great, and they've got the Bronco logo in there, but they're a bit flat. There's like zero bolstering to them. They also kind of angle up, so as I drive for a long period of time, this sort of pinches right where my leg hits here, and then my foot sort of falls asleep. So not the most comfortable seats, but they are pretty. Let's go ahead and step into the rear seat behind myself. In the rear seat, you get plenty of room. It doesn't really look like it is very spacious, but lots of room under the front seat. You get these really cool zippered pouches so that things don't go flying, and then you can strap things to these little clips here. Another, really smart thinking is they put some pouches here. You can put a phone in. This only goes to about this deep, so a phone would fit perfectly. Down here, you get another 110 volt outlet, another 400 watt max, 2 USB-Cs, 2 climate vents. Armrest feels nice. Ergonomics back here are great. Tons and tons of headroom. This car feels like it's in a different class for headroom. I probably have a good 4 to 5 inches above my head. Time to get this thing on the road. 3, 2, 1. Power feels really good in this. The 2-liter engine is nice. It also has a really great sound. That being said, I feel like you could go with the 1.5 liter and you wouldn't be missing a ton here. And you'd also get a little bit better gas mileage. So you know, pick and choose your battles. It would be nice to have more options for the 2024 model years. The 2-liter is only optioned on the highest trim, so that's a bit of a bummer to see. Transmission, though, feels really good. I have no issues driving this around today in the mountains. Again, we're at 10,000 feet right now, so you know, having this acceleration even at this level of elevation is pretty impressive. The transmission, though, will hold gears in the mountains, and it will, you know, it has enough torque to really pull you up grades. I have a Subaru Crosstrek, which I'll compare this car to a bit. That car has a CVT, and it's constantly revving up and down and up and down. It'll rev up, go too fast, and then it'll bring it back down, and then you're going too slow, and it just feels like it's this yin-yang that's not great. But this powertrain I'm pretty impressed with. I think that you'd be happy driving this thing around on a daily basis. I wanted to capture a small little add-in here, just because we're at about 11,000 feet right now, and we're about to climb to about 12 to 13,000. And this is what I mean when I say the 2-liter feels like it is really, really good in this situation. So I'm gonna just mat the pedal, and it still pulls even at this elevation. This naturally aspirated cars struggle at this height. They scream. They barely, that mile per hour reading will barely move. Fuel economy could be better. It's 23.6 is what I'm averaging. I'll put the actual rated amounts on screen, but they're under 30 no matter what engine you get at whatever speed, and they're around 24 on the low end. So I haven't been babying it, so you probably get a little bit better than that, but it's not great. My Subaru Crosstrek, I can pretty easily get 30 in combined driving, and so that's something to keep in mind. But at the same time, the base engine here is about the same horsepower as the Crosstrek in its highest engine capacity, highest power. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Handling is, as to be expected, a bit boat-like. Let's see if I can kind of show you here. It just, you know, it really sways quite a bit. I'm going to attribute that to the all-terrain tires and the off-road suspension. And to be honest, for this kind of car, I'm happy with them picking off-road capability over on-road dynamics. Suspension, though, I'm actually a bit surprised that it's not softer than it is. Again, comparing it to the Crosstrek, that is a more comfortable ride. I think you'd be happier road tripping in that. This, you kind of pick up all the little, I mean, I can feel the texture of the road, which is a bit surprising considering this is on all-terrain tires. At speed, the cabin remains pretty quiet. You don't get a ton of road noise, which is a bit shocking based on those all-terrain tires. And the boxy shape doesn't create a bunch of wind noise. I was expecting when I got in this car for it to be very windy. That is not the case. And while we're at highway speeds, let's just go ahead and test the brakes. 3, 2, 1. You know, honestly, not super impressive. It dives so much and it just struggles for traction. It is cold out here, but I don't know. That's not super impressive, to be honest. It is on all-terrain tires, though, so I guess what really can you expect? Which brings me to brake feel. This pedal is very, very soft and a bit spongy, and the kind of the top of the pedal doesn't have a ton of power, but I really haven't noticed it over the week, so I can't really complain there. Throttle mapping is interesting. In sport mode, it is super, super touchy, but it feels like it eases into the power nicely. It's not like an on-off pedal, so I've liked that, and it does feel like these drive modes actually change things. I know sometimes it feels like they just sort of change the graphic that you're looking at here, but that's not so much the case. Turning radius, I'll mention, is really, really good on this, which is great for when, if you're on a trail or something. It's quite nice to be able to just kind of flip a UE. I don't know what the actual turning radius is, but it feels better than my Crosstrek. And my Crosstrek has a pretty good turning radius too. So after driving this car for the last week or so, who is this car for, really? Like maybe mentioned before, I think there may be better cars if you intend to use your car exclusively on-road. But out here in Colorado, in the mountains, in roads like this, or even, dirt roads or muddy roads, I think that a car like this fits in quite nicely. I think that if you're looking at this car, if you're interested in this car whatsoever, then you know that you don't need a higher end off-roader. Surely you can understand that the Bronco, the full-size Bronco, is going to be extremely capable and much more capable than this. However, I think that for most people, asking if this car is good for them, they're the type of person this is good for. This is going to get you to your camping spots. It's going to get you on a trail or two. It's going to get you to your, summer cabin. Whatever it is, it's going to get you there just fine. And I think that as far as small crossover SUVs, this has to be one of the more capable ones. Subaru has their Wilderness trims. I have not driven the Crosstrek Wilderness, but that could be a comparable to this, maybe even a Forester. But I think that you'd struggle to get the same sort of capability out of that car that you can out of this. And this Heritage Limited really gives you all the bells and whistles. Do I think it's worth the price? Probably not. The $45,000 seems a bit steep. But again, in 2024, it starts at low 33s for the Heritage, and then you can option on the things that are important to you. So I think that they've done a smart thing there where they just now allow you to pick and choose. You might get the car closer to $40,000 by the time you pick all the stuff that you want on it. But having the ability to choose whether or not you think something is worth it is a bit smart. Thank you for watching. I love getting any excuse to come out here into the mountains, and I will catch you on the next one.